Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Did You Know series of the Immortal India podcast. The Ram Setu, the bridge of Ram, the bridge that connects India to Sri Lanka. Some say that the story of the construction of the bridge is a myth. They say, how can stones float on water? Does that sound believable? Others say that the story of the construction of the bridge is one of ancient India's engineering excellence and ingenuity. What is the truth? Let's find out. The building of the Ram Setu, or what the British renamed as Adam's Bridge. Obviously, the British had to do what the British do, but we know it as Ram Setu. It is described in many versions of the Ramayana. The most commonly known version of the story is that when Lord Ram reached the ocean to cross over to Lanka, he requested Samudradev, who's also called Sagar at times in the Valmiki Ramayana, also Varun Dev, obviously, the ocean god. He requested Samudradev to grant him and his army safe passage to Lanka. But the ocean remained silent and refused to help Lord Ram. So Lord Ram, in frustration, prepared to dry up the ocean with his celestial weapon. Frightened, Samudradev appeared and humbly suggested the construction of a bridge. And he promised Lord Ram that he will support the stones placed upon his waters. So, under the guidance of Nala, the son of Vishwakarma, as I'm sure you all know, was the divine architect. So, under the guidance of Nala, the Vanars began building the bridge, inscribing Lord Ram's name on every stone. And these stones miraculously floated on the water. The Ram Setu was completed in 5 days. That's what the Valmiki Ramayana tells us. The Ram Setu was completed in 5 days, connecting the shores of India to Lanka. The bridge became a symbol of faith, unity, and divine grace as Lord Ram and his army crossed it, determined to rescue goddess Sita and uphold Dharma. I'm sure that many of you, particularly when you were children, may have thought, कि ऐसा कैसे हुआ भाई? Maybe these are just legends, stones just floating on water. Who will believe this story? Floating stones? So let's discuss the subject of the floating stones first, because for many, this is the most unbelievable part of the story of the construction of the Ram Setu. So, are there stones in that area of Rameshwaram which can float on water? Yes, there are. These are basically coral stones, okay? So, essentially, when coral fossilize, you know what coral are, right? In the Great Barrier Reef on Australia, it's actually made of coral. So, when coral fossilize and form into stones, such as pumice stones, they are called coral stones. And these stones have air pockets in the middle. So, they are stones that are hollow in places. This makes the stones very light. But there is a certain type of coral stone that is found only around the Rameshwaram area apparently, that while being very light are also simultaneously so strong that you can build load-bearing structures from it. The Portuguese used such stones to build large churches in that very area during the colonial era. And yes, these stones are also so light that not only can you lift large boulders by yourself, but they can also float on water. Dr. Ritesh Arya, a geologist, theorizes that this could have been the legendary floating stone that could have been used to construct the Ram Setu. And I repeat, these stones are apparently found only in this area around Rameshwaram, from where the Ram Setu was constructed. I saw these marvels, these marvelous stones up close on my trip to Rameshwaram for a documentary shoot for Discovery TV. And to my utter surprise, I could lift a small boulder without any effort. I'm 50 years old, I'd suffered a slip disc 20 years ago. Trust me, no doctor would have advised me to lift up a boulder. I lifted up a boulder of these coral stones and I could lift it very easily. That is how light these coral stones are. The other theory that Dr. Arya suggests is that we should not see the Ram Setu as a traditional bridge. You know what a traditional bridge is, right? I mean, large piers and pylons and a connecting road on top of it with water flowing underneath. Dr. Arya suggests that the Ram Setu is actually different. We have to see it not as a traditional bridge, but as a road on top of a dam, sort of, okay? How so? This area of Rameshwaram is special. The Bay of Bengal and the Indian Ocean meet here in a very narrow strait. Now, the strong opposing currents, the opposing current of the Bay of Bengal and the Indian Ocean hit each other in this narrow strait between Sri Lanka and India, and these opposing currents resultantly cancel each other out. So the water becomes relatively stable. What happens when the water becomes relatively stable? The sands that the sea waters carry are actually deposited in that area. Therefore, this area has large sandbars or sandbanks, which is why ships also avoid this area because they can get stuck. In any case, some of these sandbanks are so big that they are well above the sea level. You can walk on it. It's like a road. You can walk on it, but only up to some places, because these sandbanks also have undulations. They're like sloping hills, right? So therefore, while some parts of the sandbars are well above water, other parts like a sloping, trough of a hill are actually below water. So what Dr. Arya theorizes that what if Lord Ram's army just took the floating coral stones that were widely available in that area and just filled up the areas of the sandbars that were below water. The parts that were above the water were like a road in any case. So if you filled up the parts that were below the water, this entire stretch becomes like a full road, or the Ram Setu. It's a very intriguing theory, and we must acknowledge the works of underwater archaeologists like Dr. S.R. Rao and geologists like Dr. Ritesh Arya for providing compelling insights into this structure. These studies reveal a distinct alignment of submerged stone structures, with assessments suggesting that they date back thousands of years. They say that the organized alignment of these stones hints at deliberate human intervention. As you know, nature doesn't construct in straight lines. It's normally human beings who construct in straight lines. So the way the structure is structured, it looks like a human creation. See how Dr. Arya explains this himself in the Discovery TV documentary, The Legends of Ramayana. So is it possible that what some see today as natural formations are actually remnants of an ancient engineering marvel? Quite possible, right? So I ask you, dear listeners, do you see the Ram Setu as a natural marvel or a testament to human engineering ingenuity, or perhaps a bit of both? A natural marvel that was added to with ingenious engineering. Comment below and let me know. And those of you who've liked this episode, please hit like and subscribe below so that you will receive a notification the next time an episode launches on the Immortal India podcast. Join me next time as we continue our exploration of India's hidden treasures and enduring mysteries. Thank you and namaste.